What is the inside edge? To have an edge means to have an advantage over your surroundings, conditions, and the people within them. And to be inside means to be somehow contained to certain conditions, persons, places, and or ways, be it a school, a job, a correctional institution, a military force, or a club. But no matter how you define it, if you are inside of something, you want to have an edge inside yourself, so you can also have an edge while inside there. First off, the word inside is being used to define two different things, with the first definition of inside meaning the inside of a person or place. The second subject that inside describes through slang is a jail, prison, or any type of institution where people are forced to be confined to an uncomfortable and or potentially life-threatening environment, either by force or by personal choice for reasons of personal progress. The word edged is used only to describe a character quality that empowers a person with a mindset that provides a superior advantage over the majority of others. The title Inside Edge is used first to describe the powerful, never surrender warrior mindset and manner that the one who reads this book will adopt and carry with him or her into his destined institution that will give him an advantage over any and everyone who has not read this book, Inside Edge. Inside Edge, second and lastly, titles the exclusive character trait that I personally developed and acquired while serving time inside a prison and carried along with me into the everyday free world, where it advantages me more now even than it did when I was serving time. This quality that I attained while inside a prison remains still inside of me today. It provides me with powerful character traits that fill me with an elevated strength of immovable resilience, an unattainable positive perception that advantages me daily with the razor-sharp edge that is seen and felt by others. My inside edge was even adopted from me by my daughter through her genes and character, as I raised and trained her as a combative martial artist who even fought in the Muay Thai World Competition and faithfully applied it to courageously become a United States Marine. We as productive beings must always desire and patronize the citizens who are sent to jail or prison are supposedly being healed to return back to society better versions of themselves, not worse. We can never allow ourselves to sink so far below the love and care of our fellow person that we either don't care whether they are healed or we pray that they fail or get harmed. To find comfort and joy from the idea of any person suffering hopelessly under the soul-crushing boot of our flawed and sometimes totally unjust justice system reveals that we in fact are just as, if not worse, than the criminal himself. A unified mindset such as this among citizens demonstrates arrogance, cowardice, selfishness, and deceitfulness at its worst within a group of those who pride in being civilized but prove to be a failing society. Strong citizens believe in the efforts and potential of their community and the people in it, including those who have made mistakes. Redemption from failure is a trait shared and admired by things of greatness that once had to become great. It is pretty common knowledge that the biggest determining factor on how a citizen turns out from prison depends on his or her experiences while inside the prison that he or she is placed in. The movie Shot Caller gives us an excellent graphic example of what a prison can turn an everyday average Joe into. Sadly, many inmates who could have returned back to society as better persons had traumatizing experiences that they still can't escape, even when away from the prison, which led them to become a vicious, dangerous person that they never would have imagined becoming without the influence of prison. Then there exists the self-centered, inconsiderate inmate who has no plans of ever straightening up regardless of how much care and opportunities he is repeatedly given. He simply has absolutely no interest in doing the right thing for anyone or ever being accountable for the wrong things that he has done to others. As tough as he or she may think he or she is, he basically remains a spoiled, entitled child who never grows up, regardless of the opportunities or caring people who may be placed in his reach while serving time. And within these failing condemned does exist a few minimal who find the true powerful self that would never allow their negative experiences the satisfaction of destroying or dictating the outcome of their new life. These elite individuals have separated themselves from the excuses and self-pity that justify surrendering to the will of negativity and destruction. They succeed in bettering themselves regardless of what occurs around them or even to them while in prison because their mind and soul never once even lived there. That which they discovered on their journey through hell filled them with pride, acceptance, and self-trust that cannot be corrupted by the instability of negativity or its disciples. They are promised to succeed unlike any others who are serving. He or she is a lone diamond in the rough that was difficult and mostly a mystery to create. Now, many can be reproduced from inside with the exact result, but there is another easier way to create them. They have to be formed before they go inside. Yes, you heard me correctly. Persons can be trained and prepared to succeed their incarceration just as people can be trained and prepared to succeed at a job that they would have failed if they had not been properly trained beforehand. The same rule applies to people who are heading in prison. They have a better chance of succeeding if prepared, which will lead to a successful release and return to the population as a better person instead of a worse one. This is good for the community and the second chance of the citizen who served time. A determining key to leveraging what type of person will go through and exit from prison is to construct who he or she is when they step through the front gates of the prison. Inside Edge is the exclusive program that prepares and educates institution-bound persons on how prison, prisoners, staff, and the incarceration system function so they can identify and steer clear of trouble and focus their energy on self-betterment and a timely release instead of confusion, fear, and accepting failure. Jail-bound persons can be educated and programmed to avoid pitfalls, ignore temptations, reject selfishness, abandon self-pity, admire improvement, accept accountability, prioritize focus, seek righteousness, utilize humbleness, and more with education and training. I know for a fact that this is true because I speak from my personal experience of entering a prison system with the right mindset and succeeding as well as guiding others to do the same. When I was sentenced to 2 5 to 7 year prison sentences in Wyoming at age 19, I stood strong, steady, and respectful in the courtroom. When the judge handed down my sentences and banged his gavel, I nodded and replied, "Yes, sir." My responsive manner to his sentencing was unexpected by him, so he responded, "You didn't even flinch when I sentenced you. Do you even care about your life, young man?" He was probably used to begging and crying from the prior people that he'd handed out heavy time to, such as now, but today, at age 70 or older, he was going to learn something new. Commandeering a court ruling. I responded to the judge, "Of course, Your Honor, and that's why I'm prepared to go in. I plan to lift weights, read, do college courses if I can, pick up trades, not watch TV, not smoke, never drink coffee, stay out of the gangs, and focus on being better when I come out than I am when I'm going in. Sorry, that's what I was thinking about while you were sentencing me." The judge looked down at me and replied, "Son, if you keep an attitude like that, you're correct that you will come out better than when you went in. I have never heard anyone speak like that before in my courtroom." It is a blessed but calculated and planned amazement that the judge and I both ended up correct. Not only did I come out of prison and accomplish never before done great things, I accomplished near impossible feats as a teen while serving my time in prison. But it was the way that I entered the playing field that conditioned me to maneuver as I did. I had a solid, realistic, sensible plan that was fueled with my silent commitment to redeem myself to all of those who cared for me, whom I had failed, especially myself. My loyalty to this identified duty strengthened me to belittle negative influences and persons who would distract me from my path. I was immune to the garbage inside the prison because my mind was set before I arrived that I did not belong there. I was only visiting, so it's not my home and neither were its issues. My pre-prison prep gave me an edge while on the inside. And now the edge that I had while inside is my inside edge while outside. Inside Edge teaches you how to boost your chances at a lesser sentence by revealing yourself as a person to the court system and its officers instead of just a number on a sheet to increase their conviction rates. Inside Edge teaches you how to insulate your family members from the reach of those incarcerated with you if and when you go in. Inside Edge book provides the knowledge and tactics that place and keep you steps ahead of pitfalls, traps, and saboteurs before they can sink their claws into you. You will learn to be unknown in the wrong places and known in the right places. You will receive an education on converting legal state-issued harmless items into necessary tools when needed. You will also learn to identify, choose, organize, command, discipline, feed, progress, and grow a productive, progressive crew of inmates and authorities that unknowingly work in your favor to help you better yourself, your conditions, and your chances for release. Inside Edge strives to direct you to view this inevitable mishap as appreciated time to focus on the betterment of yourself. Inside Edge shows you how to manage your focus so your time serves you instead of you serving it. Elaborating on that, I'd like to add the most important thing is nobody can do a job unless they're trained to do it. I don't care what it is. If I walk out to work on a construction crew and they say, all right, we need you to go to drive that dump truck right down here and then get the back loader and blah, 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 and take that tractor, and I need you to pull this much asphalt and just dump it right there, make sure the asphalt is this degree, this, and I've never been trained. First of all, everybody who has been trained, who's there, knows they're going to laugh at me. They're going to take advantage of me. This guy's going to try and get me burned with the asphalt. He's going to try and make sure that the tractor tires got no air in it or no gas in it. They're going to have fun with that. So that's the same thing when somebody's going to prison. You hear all these stories, these horror stories. First thing they're trying to do is scare you. Even our system, our authorities use that to scare people. You see it all the time on the TV shows where if you don't tell me what I want to know, I'm going to label you a rat. And you're going to get thrown in and all this, you're going to get murdered and raped and all this, which I think they shouldn't be allowed to threaten somebody like that because that makes people confess to things they didn't do because they don't want to be labeled a rat. So they'd rather go in, not a rat. But having said through all that, you see it all the time and they put this horror where you feel like you have absolutely no control if you go in. But this is the truth. You know, a lot of innocent people have been sent to prison. You know, a lot of people get sent unfairly. A lot of people who go in are good people. They make mistakes. And I'm going to say this, you know more felons who haven't been caught than you do who have. They're surrounding you every day, everywhere, making money, buying their way through the system, you know, slick enough not to be caught, you know, super liars, super thieves, just super snakes. So don't think that just people who go into prison who get caught and don't have the means to buy or convince their way out of going deserve this inhumane treatment. They don't. They're still human beings. They don't deserve it any more than your uncle who never got caught or your granddad who never got caught. Okay, so we got to look at everybody with that equal mindset. And no one can complete a job properly without training. Inside Edge gives that training so when that person goes in, it's not allowing them to become some big-time mafia gang member or anything like that, but it's allowing them to maneuver properly so that they can be, you know, so that they can go in there and be rehabilitated, which is what this is supposed to be. When somebody goes to prison, you're supposed to be getting rehabilitated. Rehabilitation means you got knocked out of whack. You were a citizen and you were doing okay, and something happened, and you went the wrong route. You got knocked out of alignment. So they put you in this correctional, not abuse and punishment facility, correctional facility. They're supposed to correct the behavior. Okay, man, we value you as a citizen. We're not going to put you to death. We value, we're going to put you in here, we're going to rehabilitate you. Here's all these things we're going to do for you. But how can somebody be rehabilitated when they're scared to death for their life? Okay, and they don't know how to maneuver past this guy who walks up to him and says, hey, bro, hey, here's a box of cigarettes to help you get through the day. You know, I'll let you know what you owe me later. And they don't understand that that dude's going to say, you owe me your butt. You know what I'm saying? And they, oh, man, thanks. What a nice guy. And they don't understand that people are like, now he's got to spend, instead of rehabilitating and going to group and doing what he's supposed to, he's got to figure out how to keep Bubba from taking his virtue away from him and maybe murdering him. That's all he has on his mind. So this book makes things fair so that citizens can return back to the community, not even as good citizens, but as better citizens. This is a book on accountability. This is a book, you know, on self-discovery, and a book of empowerment on making someone a better person so they don't have to keep surrendering to evil and bad, the ways of evil and bad, to either for personal gain or out of fear.